Hello there, BookTube. How you doing? Yeah, I thought I'd check in with a little sort of June TBR kind of thing, and also let you know what I've been reading over the last week. I don't normally do TBRs. Well, at least not a monthly TBR. I often make myself a list of books I'd like to get around to at some point during the year. Yeah, I thought I'd give it a go over the summer. Yeah, just see whether it helps. Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. So I thought I'd start with the two books that I've finished over this week. The first is Ulysses. Yeah, I think I was saying a bit last week that I actually wasn't enjoying it quite as much as I thought I was, or quite as much as I was enjoying it right at the beginning of the book. Around the middle it kind of redeemed itself for me, and kind of at the end it redeemed itself for me. But there are just a few long passages and a few sections that I was just kind of struggling to see the point of, and I'm not going to be silly enough to say that there is no point to them. I think I just need to spend more time with it, and probably in a few years I'll give it a reread, maybe make it more of a summer project, and kind of read it with a commentary nice and slowly, instead of just reading it in a couple of weeks like I did this time. And but no, I did still like it, and overall still enjoyed it. Yeah, at the end, the last two sections, which are maybe two of the weirder sections, but I really loved them. Yeah, particularly Molly Bloom's sort of stream of consciousness monologue kind of thing. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and I found myself really kind of feeling for Leopold Bloom. As it goes on, I was just kind of sympathising or empathising with him much more. Which was, yeah, I don't know, I kind of got the impression he's, yeah, you know, even though he's you're given some of the, I don't know, seedier sides of his personality, you still get the impression that he's a good person, and he's quirky and unassuming, and yeah, in some ways I felt I had a lot in common with him, and maybe in other ways not, I don't know. Yeah, I won't go into too much depth about that. Yeah, I think as a character, Leopold Bloom was part of the reason I kept reading, and I was kind of really rooting for him in some ways. But yeah, still overall enjoy Ulysses, and yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see over the years what I really think of it. But yeah, still enjoy it. And then after that, I finished Death Republic, a poetry collection by Ilya Kaminsky. Yeah, this was good. It wasn't quite a 5-star read for me, but it was still a very solid poetry collection, and I thought it was brave in what it was saying and how he decided to say it. I suppose it's sort of let down for me was because he's trying to do a play, or like a poetry collection as a play. Essentially each poem is a scene, and there's certain scenes that, because of the way he's written it, they just feel really rushed, and it just feels like we should be spending more time there, and we're not. And I don't know how he could have combated that, but yeah, that was kind of the main drawback for me, was just this kind of rushed nature. But there were still some really beautiful moments. I really loved, there are these two poems that kind of bookend it, that are kind of outside of the narrative, and you get the impression they're more from the poet's point of view, from his circumstance, and it kind of counterbalances, or maybe even gives us a filter to view the narrative of the collection through. And they were really great. What are the names? I think one is called We Lived Happily During the War, is that what it's called? Yeah, we lived happily during the war, and then the one at the end, the other bookend, is in a time of peace. And yeah, they both kind of nod at each other and reference each other, and I think bookend it really beautifully. Makes you rethink what you've just read. And then also about halfway through, there's a poem with just a couple of lines, and it's kind of placed after this kind of barbarous act has happened. But these two lines I think yeah, really quite interesting. So they go like this. At the trial of God, we will ask, why did you allow this? And the answer will be an echo. Why did you allow this? So that's yeah, Ilya Kaminsky's Death Republic. Yeah, pretty good on the whole. Yeah, didn't love it enough for it to be like a 5-star read for me, so it probably felt more in the kind of 4-star sort of camp. But yeah, it was solid, and I enjoyed it, and there's definitely a lot to think about in it. Okay, then on to what I'm reading now. Both of these books are kind of projects, so one I'm reading hopefully quite slowly over June, and the other will be even more stretched out, probably over the whole of the summer. So the first is the Iliad. So Steve Donoghue and Matthew at Maybury Book Club are doing a buddy read of this together, and Matthew said if anyone wanted to kind of read along as they're doing it, yeah, just kind of join in, then they'd be welcome to. And I'd never read the Iliad before, so yeah, I jumped in to read it, and it's my first time. Thought I'd use their videos as a sort of commentary, and if I'm confused, maybe their videos might reorient me a little bit. But so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm a couple of books in, and yeah, it has a pretty good introduction as well. Yeah, just enjoying it. I have tons to say about it so far. Yeah, I think Achilles as a character, he does actually feel quite human to me, and it does amaze me that something so old can actually kind of break through that barrier of time, and you know, you can kind of connect with these characters. And yeah, there's a bit where he's having a bit of a tantrum, and his mum comes down. His mum's a goddess, and she comes down to see what it is. And yeah, to me it read just like a mum, just kind of being, oh, what's wrong? And then the you know, kid just kind of blabbering, like, oh. Yeah, at least that's what I felt. Yeah, really loving it so far. Probably the closest thing to this that I've read before, I'll grab it off the shelf now, is the Táin. I think I'm saying that correctly. So, you know, an Irish myth about essentially a cattle raid that goes terribly wrong and turns into full-scale war. Yeah, it's probably the sort of nearest equivalent to the Iliad I read. This is Ciaran Carson's translation, which is also interesting if you're interested in Irish mythology. I guess if you're already interested in Irish mythology, then you already know about it. Yeah, I was kind of seeing parallels between the two. And then the other book that I'm reading at the moment, and this is the project over the whole summer, is Red Comet, the short life and blazing art of Sylvia Plath. And as I said in probably a past video, Sylvia Plath is a poet that I really enjoy reading. She's one of the first poets I really connected with as a reader as well. But yeah, I've never read a sort of a dedicated Sylvia Plath biography. I've read Jonathan Bate's biography of Ted Hughes, which has a fair bit of stuff on Sylvia Plath, but you know, it is about Ted Hughes' life, not Sylvia's life. And I've read Erica Wagner's it's called Ariel's Gift, which is her sort of companion book to Birthday Letters, which kind of gives you a look into both of their lives. But this, yeah, I'm just enjoying the fact that you're getting whole chapters that were maybe just paragraphs in those other books. So I'm just loving going in depth into her life and her family's life. That's kind of where I am at the moment, just in the second chapter. So yeah, that I'll probably talk about this as I go on through the summer. Yeah, really enjoying this at the moment. And then next up, I sort of last minute sort of joined up to be a contestant in Mark over at Book Time with Elvis's was it Euro 21? Yeah, Euro 2021 reading challenge. And if you're not familiar, I'll link his video explaining the challenge below. And so essentially, what it is if you're participating, you're allocated a country. It'll be one of the countries participating in the Euro 2021. Is it Cup? I don't know. I don't really follow football, but you know, it's the football tournament thing. And it was supposed to happen last year, but with COVID, got postponed. So it's happening this year. And I've been given Austria, and I think next Sunday, the 13th, they're playing against North Macedonia. So the way it works is you allocate a country, and you have to read a book either set in or written by someone from that country. And if your country wins, then you're fine. You don't have to read another book. But if they lose, then you have to read a book by the country they were beaten by. So for me, that would be North Macedonia. Yeah, so I joined up last minute, and I was itching my head for books from Austria to read, but I found a couple that tickled my fancy, and I ordered them last minute from sort of a second-hand book website, and so hopefully they'll be coming this week. But the two books are Airs Above the Ground by Mary Stewart, which from the sound of things is a sort of mystery thriller kind of book from I think the 60s. And it's about a woman whose husband goes off on a business trip, I think to Copenhagen, somewhere like that, and then she's watching a newsreel, and then the newsreel is sort of, you know, it's filming, it's showing Vienna, and she sees her husband in this newsreel in Vienna, and I don't really know where to go from there. Yeah, it sounded intriguing. So that's one option, but my other option, and I'll just see when I get here which I get to first, is The Hare with the Amber Eyes by Edmund de Waal. Hopefully I'm saying his surname right, maybe it's de Waal. And it's sort of about, it's kind of like a family history book, I think it's a true story. And it's told through objects that have been inherited, and I'm guessing one of these objects will be the hare with the amber eyes. I think it won a prize, maybe 2018, something like that. I don't know, maybe it was further back, I'm not sure. But that sounded intriguing too. Yeah, we'll see what I do with those, which I get to first. Maybe I'll try and read them both, but yeah, we'll see how I do for time. But I'll definitely try and read one of them before the 13th. So there are two books that I want to read in June, and then yeah, hopefully I want to try and squeeze in a few others between those two books and the Sylvia Plath biography and the Iliad. So the first book I want to try and squeeze in is The Castle by Franz Kafka. I've been wanting to read more Kafka for a while after reading a few of his short stories, so hopefully I might be able to read this at some point in June. And then on top of that there are three others. There's Kid by Simon Armitage. I've only read one of his full collections, which was a fairly recent one, The Unaccompanied, and I've read his selected poetry, which gives you a kind of overview of his of his work. So yeah, I saw this second hand recently, and yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. And I also, another poetry, well, a slightly poem of Zbigniew Herbert, another poet who's grabbed my attention recently, and I've been, I guess this book has come up in a few videos recently, so I want to try and read this in June as well. Maybe I won't finish them in June, but that's okay. And hopefully, I've been itching to get to this, and I want to hopefully read it in June, is this book of French tales. Yeah, I kind of described it, I think, in my book haul last week, I think. And it's taking different provinces of France and then taking stories set in those provinces, and kind of getting you to know the writing of France and the land at the same time. And there's a few big names, but I only recognised 3 of them. I probably should know more of them, but yeah, I've not read much French literature, so hopefully this will be a good gateway into it. So there you go, that's what I'm hoping to read this June. Yeah, so please let me know what you thought of these books. If you've read any of them, yeah, please let me know what you thought, or if there's anything you think I should know. And yeah, please feel free to let me know what you hope to read over this next month. But yeah, for the meantime, I hope you do well with your weekend, and I hope you've been able to enjoy the weather if it's nice, and if not, I hope you've been able to stay out of it. But yeah, for now that's all, so yeah, take care, and bye bye.